I forgot to do another thing, but that's all right. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are stream blacksmithing. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello, hello. I got a couple things I need to do real fast that I had a stray thought and I had to write it down so I didn't forget it. And so there's a couple things that I forgot to do before I started. So give me just 1 second. We're gonna open the garage door for a little bit more light and a little bit of air. We're gonna turn on the fan because it's pretty warm out today. And what was the other thing I was gonna do? Something else. I can't remember what it. Oh, I was gonna hit record on the camera. Goodness gracious. This is what happens when Ray has stray thoughts, you know? So, yeah. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm super excited to be here today. And yeah, I will talk a little bit about my stray thought, I guess. So I feel like you guys have kind of labeled yourselves. Like normally I talk to you guys and I'm like, hi chat, you know, and I talk to the butler and I tell the butler that chat says X or chat says Y, right? Hey Patrick E, welcome to the stream. Let me put these on so I can hear through the sound of the fan. So yeah, and I feel like a lot of times you guys, when you come into the stream, you're like, hey Smithies, hey Ray. And so I kind of feel like maybe you guys have unofficially labeled yourselves the Smithies. And if that's the case, then I think it would be really cool to make an emote that's Smithies, right? So then you can be like, hey, and then put the emote. So maybe I'll put that as like a follower emote. And so I wanted to make sure that I remembered to make it. And so I wrote it down. So that way, you know, I don't forget, because I oftentimes forget things like that. So today we are going to continue working on our wolf jaw tongs. We have both sides of the tongs pretty well roughed in. We've got a lot of finessing left to do, and we also need to put the rivet in. So I have cut the rivet. It's going to go in like so. And then the tongs are going to open and close like so. Unfortunately, the rivet is just a hair bit loose in there, so I've left myself a little bit of extra material here so that I can upset the inside so that they tighten up a little bit and also have enough space to create a head with that upset. So that's going to be us riveting these guys together. We also need to make sure that they close correctly, where the jaws line up and the reins can open and close properly. So there are a couple things that I noticed when I stuck these guys together with the rivet, that they just don't quite close all the way, or at least as close as I want them to. So we are going to do a little bit of finesse work before we rivet these together, because it will be a lot easier to do before I rivet them together. I think what I want to do is I want to maybe put like a diagonal in here so that the reins will shift together a little bit easier. And then also I want to push back both sides of the jaws. See, Mahalo has said, hey Ray, hey Smithies. I kind of feel like that is what you guys have labeled yourselves. You're not just chat anymore. You have a name. Are you guys the Smithies? Is that what's happened? There's a lot of streams out there where chat will give themselves a name, and, you know, based on the stream name. So are you guys the Smithies? If so, I feel like I need like a really cool, like, animated emote, or maybe not an animated one, maybe just like a colorful emote that says Smithies. Let me know if you'd like that. I wrote it down so I'll remember. Hopefully I can remember it. So yeah, once the ad comes up, or I guess the ad is over now. So I guess it is now time to light the forge. So as I think I was cut off a little bit by the ad. You can make custom badges now for watchers and subs. That would be really cool. So is that a better place to put the little Smithy label? Then I can make it like a follower badge and you can just say it says Smithy. Maybe. Would you guys like that? So I want to kind of create like a diagonal. So not a bad idea, see? I want to kind of put a diagonal right here so that the reins kind of fit together a little bit easier. And then I also want to bend both sides of the jaws backwards so that I can kind of curve this little section here right before the jaw and create kind of a much closer fit between the two of these guys. See, they just don't quite fit right. So I think I'm going to need a little bit of a curve, and I think bending them out first is going to help me do that. So that is my plan for our initial couple of heats. Then once we get that taken care of, we're going to put the rivet in, and then we're going to finish finessing these guys. I'm hoping that this only takes maybe like the first hour of the stream or so. And then from there, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about our next project, which is the burger brand. All right, so let's heat up the forge. Light her up. There we go. Turn that down just a hair. So yeah, I'm hoping we have a decent time and they come together a lot better than some of my other sets of tongs. That's the goal anyway. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put it in the forge, ready to heat. This is going to go over here. Don't let me forget I put that over there, because I will lose that. I will forget, because I don't want it to fall on the floor, because I'll never find it if I kick it around the shop. At least there, I have a chance of not dropping it, right? So, yeah, I'm super excited to be here today. It's a pretty nice day. It is supposed to rain later on today. Hopefully not until after the stream is over, because it's always awkward when it starts raining in the middle of the stream. Because I like to keep my doors and windows open, and I don't like getting splashed, or like the inside of the shop getting splashed. Don't lose it. It's hiding by the tinderbox lid. I'll bet. Definitely living over by that tinderbox lid. I'm gonna put that under there. And that too, because I don't really need that. So yeah. I spent a few hours today kind of trying to design our burger brand. And I've got a couple of pages of designs. I don't think you guys can really see them all that much because I did them in pen. So I don't know, maybe you guys can see them, maybe not. You can probably tell that there's something there, but I don't know that you can actually see what they look like. Needless, but it doesn't really matter, to be quite honest, because I didn't like any of my designs. And part of that is because I just can't get the lettering and stuff to be perfectly in line with like the circle I want the design to revolve around. And yeah, I did kind of, I went to Google and I was trying to figure something out. I kind of, I looked at a bunch of different brands and stuff, and I just wasn't completely happy with it. I even cheated and brought it into AI just to see what it could come up with, and knowing that I would definitely be modifying whatever it turned out. Because I would never use straight AI for any art project, but sometimes it can give you some ideas maybe. And I didn't like any of it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants a little bit. We're going to start by making the essential elements that we need for this brand. So we're going to start by making the circle because I want the whole thing to revolve around a circle. And then after that, we are going to make the numbers for 250. After that, we'll kind of fit those all together and kind of play around a little bit with it. And we're going to kind of see if we want to put some, or what kind of more letters we want. One of my designs said America along the top of the circle, and the other one had, or in the bottom of the circle, I had, 1776 dash 2026, because I mean that's the years that the country has been around, and I thought that might look all right. I've also put some USA letters on there, just America, some stars. So we're probably going to do a couple of letters and some stars to begin with after we've done that 250, and we're going to see how that kind of looks. We're going to like play around with it a little bit as we go. I am planning on using, in my opinion, simple is better. I mean, I think you're right. And like I said, I think that starting with a circle, the 250, and maybe some stars might, that might be the way to go. We might want to put some USA on there just to differentiate what we're trying to say. But yeah, we are going to start by using some 1/4 inch square stock, and I want to break this down into a 1/4 inch wide by like an 1/8 inch deep. So we're basically going to lengthen this out and turn it into a rectangular bar as opposed to square bar, but not until after we finish our tongs, because we're going to try and use the tongs to help us out with this. So yeah, like I said, I think the circle with the 250 and the stars, maybe adding USA, is probably the way to go. But I kind of want to just look at the elements and kind of play around with it a little bit, see what we can come up with. All right. Let's pull the steel out of here and take a look at what we've got. Like I said, I kind of want to make it or add in like a diagonal, like right around here. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to hold the piece in like so, and we're going to hammer diagonally along the edge, the close to me edge of the anvil. I want to make sure everything is all nice and true, but we've got a little bit of an indent there. I think that I really like what we've got going on there. And if we put these guys together, I think they actually fit just a hair better than they did before, especially if I put that diagonal on this side as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to bend back this jaw a little bit. USA would definitely be more readable on a burger than America. Yeah, transferring a burn takes a lot of definition out of the design. Big and bold markings will work better. You guys are completely right about that. And we know this because I do like for all of our emotes that I make in the channel and like our little icons for subscribers stuff, I have to be really, really careful that you can see them in the teeny tiny, right? So simple looks a lot better when it's really teeny tiny. It needs to be legible and readable from really far away, from the burn when it starts expanding out. If you leave it on too long, and I think you guys are right. I think USA might be better than America. I was originally planning on doing like some cursive for that America, and I think you guys are right. I don't think you're going to be able to read it. So maybe USA, relatively large, you might be able to see that a little bit easier. I think the 250 is pretty decent. Maybe like a couple of stars, maybe. We'll kind of take a look at the stars and see what we can do with that. Those may still be a little bit too detailed in order to be readable. Unless it's like a 4-pound super burger, right? Well, my burger patties are usually about yay big, right? So they're like a 4-inch patty, right? Like in diameter. So the whole thing has to fit there. And I think really most of the burger brands that I've seen, because if you Google search burger brand, they actually come up. But most people are not branding the meat patty, they're branding the bun. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll probably be branding the buns and not the meat itself. But I mean, you know, I've never had a burger brand before. I looked up how much it costs to buy a burger brand. You know, those things cost like $300, $400 for custom ones. I feel like I should just start making burger brands and, like, you know, sell them, right? Make good money. Let's do another heat. Oh, I think I forgot to hit record on this camera too. Goodness gracious. I've seen branded steaks. Yeah, some of the like really, really fancy restaurants will brand their steaks, you know? All right. So that's kind of the idea that I'm trying to get done right there. And we're going to, once we get these two riveted together, we are going to be bending that back so that it is nice and in line. But I want to make sure, like I said, that oh, did I do this wrong? No, it goes, wait, what direction does it go? It goes like that. Ha! This makes it difficult for me to figure things out, right? It goes like that, right? So I think it's starting to look a little bit better, a little bit nicer. So we are going to be curving that a little bit after we are finished riveting them together. But this is going to make it look nicer in the end. Gotta trust that process. So let's work on this side. We're going to heat that up first. DQ is going to want your burger brand, are they? Like I said, they seem like really fancy things, you know? Like, I at least for the most part, they seem like a really fancy restaurant thing to do. However, Steak and Shake, which is a American or U.S. based burger joint, they have this. It's this burger, and they call it the Bitcoin burger. And they brand the bun of the Bitcoin burger with the symbol from the Bitcoin. And I'm not entirely sure. I think it's kind of like a gimmick because they allow you to pay with Bitcoin for your meal. I'm not entirely sure if I would be willing to be paid in Bitcoin because doesn't it like fluctuate a lot? Probably less so Bitcoin itself, because Bitcoin itself has been around for quite some time, and I think most of the ones that fluctuate a lot are like the fad ones. So I don't know. Maybe. Trademark it quick. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it though is that like you gotta custom make your burger brand. So I don't know. Someone who wants a burger brand, maybe we can work something out. I think it would be an interesting project for a smith to do, you know, just custom ones. Because if you bought the right stock, you wouldn't have to do much in the way of work. You can kind of like, I mean, you'd have to master upset corners because you really want that crisp corner on like your letters and numbers and stuff, like E's and like twos and things like that. But it could be a relatively simple project. You could probably fab the whole thing, you know? If you're looking for something else to add to your booth here and there. Okay. Let me grab another set of tongs because that side is going to still be pretty hot. So now we are going to take a look at what it's going to, if they look like they're going to fit together a lot better, and I think they really are. They do kind of look like they're going to fit together a little easier. Perhaps. Maybe not, actually. I am having a tiny bit of issue right now because the diagonal here that we've just created is a little bit too short for the other side. So we're going to heat this up one more time and bring that diagonal back a little bit. Woo! Knocking my water all over the place. So yeah, I think it'll be a fun and interesting project to do. Probably not the, you know, most traditional blacksmith thing to do, but you know, when I was looking at them, the ones that you could buy, they also had like cheaper versions of them where it was basically like a little brass stamp that you put on the end of a soldering iron, and you turn on the soldering iron, you plug it in, and it heats up the end, and then you can just use it that way. and then you wouldn't have to use like your charcoal grill or coals or what have you in order to heat it up. So that's something to think about too. We're probably not going to do it in brass because I just don't really have enough brass. And I think the way that they were doing it was like a laser engravement process. So I think we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way, and just like they used to cow brands. All right. All right, that looks a lot better now. That looks like it's going to close a lot better. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to bend this section backwards. The unfortunate part about doing this work is that these both are going to be relatively warm, and it's going to be harder for me to put them together when I go to start riveting them. So, and I can't really quench them because they're made out of spring steel. And spring steel, if I quench that in water, it would crack them. So I've got to be relatively careful for this whole process. Ooh, it's starting to get warm. That's why I turned on the fan, but I don't know. It's not working as well as it should, I think. It's probably not aimed at the best place. So we'll figure it out. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, another heat. I think this should be our last heat before we really start riveting these guys together. All right. If I flip that direction, that looks pretty darn good. We're going to be able to open and close that really nicely. And like I said, we are going to have to close those both, but not until after we get our rivets in there. It's going to make them close a lot easier and a lot nicer, I think. It's like when you're creating when you're doing a scroll, you want to start that scroll by going the opposite direction that you want the scroll to go. That gives you like a full circle that will kind of close in the center of your the thing that you're scrolling around. Hey Yankee, welcome to the stream. Hello, thank you so much for joining me, Raiders. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, I'm Ray. I'm a blacksmith. And today we are working on finishing up a pair of wolf jaw tongs. The reason that they are called wolf jaws is because if you take a look at the part that closes, there are two little V's that kind of create the look of teeth when they clamp down on a piece of steel. So they're going to be very invaluable for clamping onto smaller pieces of steel and little animals and letters and delicate things that I need to do really tight work on. Hey, a mound. Fact you don't you. Welcome. Welcome in. Hello, hello. I'm missing people. I'm sorry. But yes, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So the next thing that we're gonna do, these are both relatively warm, and I like being able to kind of handle them with my hands. But we're gonna rivet them together anyway. So I've got my rivet right here. See, I didn't lose it, Mahalo. Aren't you proud of me? So we're gonna put this guy in the forge so that it can heat up nice and hot. And I'm gonna set up my workspace for rivets. Blacksmithing is so cool. I love this. Well, I'm glad that you love it. I love it as well. All right, so we got the little forge and we're heating up the rivet. I've got an ad coming in about 2 minutes, but it should be all right. We're going to bring in my wage block. And we're gonna stick it right here. Swage blocks are another type of anvil that has divots inside of it. This one I often use for rivet heads because it has a little tiny hole there that makes the perfect domed shape for a rivet head. So that's why we're bringing this over here. I gotta clean it off a little bit because there's a whole bunch of scale in it, in the little divots. All right. Don't touch those. Black steel is one of the most dangerous things in a blacksmith shop because you never know if the steel is hot or cold. In this case, I'm pretty sure it's hot. All right. I am going to move the camera so that we can kind of see what I've got going on over here. See if I can't get both the heel of the anvil and the header in the same shot in case I need to move surfaces. Oftentimes I will start on the rivet header and then I'll move to the heel of the anvil because sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to kind of move the steel correctly. All right. Fingers crossed this setup is gonna work well for us. All right. Now I'm just waiting on the ad to end and then we can attempt to start this rivet. Like I said, I'm super excited about this. It should work out pretty darn nicely. But it might act a little funny here and there, so hopefully it'll work nice. Alright. I created a cold shot a little bit, but I think it'll be alright. Alright, so we are back from the ad, and let's attempt this. This might take us a little bit of doing, but I'm going to do my best. A lot of times this ends up taking me a couple of different heats because of various things that happen. Mostly the fact that I really stink at making rivets. All right, so it's in there now. We're going to turn it over a little bit and stick it right there. Oh, we're starting to bend it. Now that's not good. We don't want to bend it like that. So this may be an issue. Let's see, how's it feeling? Opening and closing wise. They're opening and closing all right, but I don't think I have enough of a head there. So I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have to start from scratch with a shorter rivet. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut that rivet out of there. Like I said, a lot of times this stuff, I'm really actually kind of bad at it. So we're going to do our very best. We're going to cut that out of there. We're going to start from scratch. I made the rivet a little bit too long. But that's all right. I have all of this left that we can turn into rivets. So give me just 1 second to set up the angle, or to plug in the angle grinder. Apologies for not getting this the first time, but I left myself a little bit too much excess material because I was trying to make up for some errors in the punch. All right. You're getting real blacksmithing today. All right. So there's that. We're going to cut that out. There's the angle grinder right there. And we're going to cut it out. I need to move that over so that I can actually get to it a little bit easier. This is why we set things up before we turn on the machines. All right. Is it possible to put a head on one side of the rivet first, kind of like a nail head? Yeah, and a lot of people do that, and it's a lot easier to do. But in order to do that, oftentimes what people will do is they will create what is known as a rivet header. And I don't actually have one for this size of rivets. They're usually done with standard ones, like standard sizes. What I used to do before I started attempting to do this, like, you know, the real or like the old style way, is I used to use just nails. Yeah, there's extra tooling involved, unfortunately. It's a pain in the butt, is what it is. It's a pain in the butt. What I do with my mask. So yeah, you guys get to see me fail a little bit, and hopefully we'll succeed pretty quickly after this. All right. Let's do this. Alright, we'll see if I can actually get these apart. Haha! One side. Let's get the other side out of here now. There it goes. Bye-bye, bad rivet. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do, so we're going to cut ourselves another rivet. Are you cold? Okay, you guys are both dead cold now, or not dead cold, but like close enough to being dead cold that I can actually touch you. And so what we want to do is we want to come over here and take a look at that. Then we are going to grab, this guy and mark where we want to be. Actually, you know what? I think I want to try something a little bit different. Instead of using that one, we're going to go with the next one. That way it's a little bit longer. A little bit longer. We want it a little tiny bit longer, but not too bad. Okay. I think that's good. That's the right size. It's shorter than it was before. Alright, so let's do this again. Now we are going to cut this guy. Like I said, I'm a little bit lousy at making rivets. You know, it's one of those things that, like, I just haven't had enough practice doing. And I try it every so often just to practice. Because it's always good to practice the things that you're crappy at, so you can get better at it eventually. Alright. So, now we're going to heat that up, and I'm going to move the camera once again over here so you guys can see me attempt my next rivet. That's another thing I need to do. I keep saying that I'm going to make more emotes and things like that, and I never end up doing it, and I really need to. I want to do... I think we've already discussed the frog, the riveting frog. That would be a fun one to do. A riveting frog, because it rivets. We're going to give a different angle on this rivet this time. Maybe you guys will be able to see the problem if I set it up like that. I might try and start it over. No, I think I gotta do it over here. I gotta do it right there. Making two heads and filling in the hinge hole. Yes, that's kind of what I'm doing. To be fair, there's three things going on at once. Yes, it is. And that's exactly what's going on. I'm trying to make two heads and, like, expand the whole thing, but I've made the rivet a little bit too long previously. And it's kind of a balance you gotta walk, and if you're not doing the exact same one every single time, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So you know what, I'm gonna start by doing fun things like that. All right, we're gonna try this, guys. We're doing it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna put that in like so. Then we're gonna stick that in the hole. Then we're gonna move this over here like so, and that's still a little bit on the long side. So maybe we'll lift these guys up a little bit. Move it that direction. We're going to do this a little bit at a time, and I think that's probably our best bet for this at this point. Flipping it back and forth. Okay, so we're opening it and we're closing it. Check that out. That's a lot easier and a lot better. And they're not as weird wiggly as before. So I think we have finally succeeded at that. I want them to be just a hair tighter. All right, so we've got nice heads on those. Let's close them all the way. We're gonna open them, open and close like that. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to start finessing these and make sure that these jaws curl in and close properly. So I'm not entirely sure if they're going to fit inside the forge or not, but we're going to try it. Looks like it isn't going to work the way I wanted it to. I think I made them a little bit harder so I'll put them like that for the moment. Oh, the camera focus was wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I'd have seen that a little bit sooner. Well, now it works. I got it now. Focus being all kinds of wrong. I hate when I do that. It's because, you know why? It's because I need glasses. And I don't have eye insurance right now. All right. So apologies for that. Not getting that right on the focus. It's okay. The footage was still riveting, I'm sure. I'm sure it was. I missed the footage like really bad. I'm sorry. Okay, so we don't need the swage block anymore because we have the rivets completed. So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to move these over here. It's all right. I'll figure it out. Maybe we'll make another set of tongs, you know, and then I'll get it right that time. I got this weird, I have this, if it's not terribly far off, I actually have a setting in my editing software that I can kind of tighten things up, make it a little more sharp. But if it's too nasty, then I'm just, you know, SOL, I guess. Can never have too many. Yes, never have too many rivets. It might just be we use the footage from the wide camera and not the close-up for that shot. I don't know. Okay. Let me grab a drink. I'm starting to get real hot. I will try to be a lot better about getting the focus on. All right, let's see what I got here. How warm is that? Not warm enough. All right. So we might instead be putting these in this direction to get what we need, which makes it a lot harder in the end. But we might actually be able to get a little bit more success this way. I think I opened them way too far. If this doesn't work, we'll pick up and we'll light the big forge and get what we need there. We shall see how easy this is, how well I can do this. Need some cables in the ceiling so you can have an overhead cam that will follow you around. So the butler has been looking into what we might or what we're going to decide to purchase to replace one of the cameras in this setup. Right now I have a Panasonic GH5 and a Panasonic GH3 as my cameras. The wide one is the GH5, the close is the GH3. Well, the GH3 cannot shoot in 4K, and it's a little bit, they're both getting a little bit old. So we're trying to plan for one of them to break. So we've been looking into getting a gimbal cam, like a little stream cam. They have the little handheld ones that are on gimbals and they'll follow you around. And Smith a giant camera gimbal, right? Man, I've tried to make camera equipment and it's never smooth enough. But yeah, we've been looking into figuring out a good setup, a good solution. And the mini gimbal cams are looking really good. There's a couple that are like coming out in a couple weeks and they're relatively inexpensive, like $100. And so I want to continue using the DSLRs and the micro 4/3 cameras for as long as we possibly can, because they're going to give us a little bit higher image quality, but eventually we might change to one. They're kind of cool. Counterbalance with a small anvil? I mean, yeah. We've been doing a lot of modifications to our traveling setup as well. If you guys saw in Indiana, we used the GH5 as the initial, like the stream cam capture, because normally when I go around and I do the on location, we've been using a cell phone camera, which is meh. Some of them are really good cameras, but some of them are kind of meh. So we actually were able to hook up a wireless capture card to the laptop and go around using the GH5, which was really cool. The connection between the camera and the laptop never wavered. However, what was the problem was the internet was a little bit unstable for the tethering to the laptop. So it's kind of, you know, the tethering itself, it was a little bit wonky. So I don't know. I like it. It's a better image quality and it's a better setup for the butler, because then he doesn't have to move the viewpoint and stuff. But We'll see. There's a couple things that we want to modify and kind of tighten up so it makes it easier. All right, how we doing on this heat? We are not getting the heat that I'm looking for. So I think what's going to happen next, I think we're going to hook up the big forge. So I'm just going to like set that right there. I mean, you can definitely see that it's the reins that are nice and hot and the rivet itself is not hot at all. So we're just going to let that set there and cool for just a second. I'm going to switch forges from the little one to the big one, because the big one we can set the whole thing in there and get all of it hot if we need to. All right. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to pan us over just a hair so that you guys can kind of see what I'm up to a little bit over there. Okay. This tank of gas is starting to run a little bit low. So I bought on Monday a nice, regular size a new propane tank. A Windows tablet might be lighter and more compact option instead of laptop in the future. Yeah, I've totally talked about doing that as well. However, we're on a really limited budget. So unfortunately, when we did look into the Windows laptop or like the Windows tablets, the Surfaces, they're super nice. They are super nice. However, the cheapest one that would run OBS, because it needs 16 gigs of RAM, was about $800 at the time, refurbished. And that was a little bit outside of my budget at the time. Definitely something to look into in the future. When the stream starts, and the YouTube start making a little bit more money. Unfortunately, I need the stream and the YouTube to kind of be able to take care of itself. We put as much as we can into it. But, you got to eat too, right? So the best way to help me out is actually to go over to YouTube and to watch my VODs over there. Because in order to get monetized, I need more time watched. And the more I get people watching my stuff, the nicer I look to potential advertisers, Sponsorships. That's how you make your money as a content creator. All right. There we go. We got a nice hot forge. Or at least it's getting there. All right, let's pan the camera. Well, actually, first, let's put the tongs in the other forge. So we'll put them in just like so. Not using flint and steel. No, I'm not. I'm cheating today. I could use flint and steel. I mean, while we're waiting, we can, we can use flint and steel. We've got the kit right here. Let's see if we could have. Let's see if we could have. It's been a little bit since I brought out the flint and steel. I'm never going to lose the lid on this again because, I'm always going to remember that you guys, that you guys were like, it's on the bottom of the can, Ray. Let's see. Can I do this? Oh, I'm going to lose all my charcoal cloths. Put that on top of the charcoal cloth so it doesn't blow away. Because I got a lot of air moving right now. There's that. Let's see. Can I do this? I think I should be able to do that from there. I got really long fingernails today. Oh, there it is. There it is. Check that out, guys. We would have been able to. Woohoo! Fire! Now I'm just going to let it sit there because the forge is already lit. If I try to pick it up and put it in the forge, here, we'll put it in the forge like so. It's just gonna, it's not gonna be anything, but yeah. But yes, I was able to do it before the ad even started. I already had I had the counter up, I guess. Put that right there because it's a little bit, okay. So, once this ad is over, I am going to take a look at finessing these tongs. Are you making your own char cloth in the future? I honestly am not entirely sure how to make it. I'll probably have to Google it or, make a phone call. I know how to make charcoal. I just don't know how to make char cloth. I think it's relatively similar, but I don't know for sure. All right. There is my char cloth right there. There are lots of videos on it. It's pretty easy. Well, if there's videos on it, I'll definitely take a look. And I keep saying things like that to you guys where I'm going to take a look at videos that you send me and stuff, and sometimes I forget to, so I will, when I need it, I'll definitely look it up, but yeah. Okay, how we doing on our, are we going to be doing all right? Yeah, looks like we will. It looks like we'll do all right once the ad ends. Okay. All right. I gotta figure out how I want to go about this. How I want to go about it. I need this, maybe even this one. So that, and I'll need that eventually. That can go away. Kind of trying to set things up because I need different pieces, different things to kind of finesse these guys and make sure that they hold on to the steel. And yeah, so I'm just cleaning up, setting things, trying to get a little bit more organized, but I'm definitely not organized. Nobody said that Ray's smithy was organized. All right, guys, let's do our next heat. This is going to be a lot cooler, so it's not going to work quite as well as when we were using the mailbox. The mailbox is just a lot more efficient than the big guy, but the big guy is bigger, so I'm able to do bigger work. One of these days, I'll put another burner in it. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I will either put another burner in it or I will replace it. I'm pretty sure, right? Well, that's not working the way I want it to. It's a little bit closer together, but we're going to heat it up again. But first we're going to drop it. That works too, right? But you guys couldn't see what I was doing anyway, would you? Or could you? Goodness gracious, Ray. Goodness gracious. Get your camera together. All right, let's move this over here. We'll see if I can't get a better shot for you guys, a better angle, what I'm trying to do. You know what? I have had a thought. I have had a thought, guys. We don't need to use the face of the anvil. We've got a post vise for just this stuff. For just this type of thing. I love it when I remember that I have specialty tools to do things. We can almost kind of just about pretty much see. I know, I'm sorry guys. But I have the post vise centered in this next angle. So, and I didn't actually do anything important in the last one. So we should be good to go. I'm sorry guys. That's my bad. I'm, you know, one of these days I'll get my stuff together. All right, let's try this. Like I said, we're going to use the post vise and see what we can do. It's a little bit nicer. Now we need to do the other side. It's a little bit cold right now to do that. We definitely are gonna have to like bend this sideways too because that kind of flipped that direction. So we'll get it eventually. It's just gonna take us a few heats, and we're definitely going to use the post vise. It's a lot easier, I think. We got a lot more work out of it. This finessing is taking me a little bit longer than I originally anticipated. So hopefully we'll get this done very quickly after this. That way we can start moving on to our next project. All right. All right, so at this point, we should be able to start working back on the anvil face. But well, I'm gonna do one more heat on the other side, the one that's all wonky. We'll fix that before we go back to the face of the anvil. I wanna fix the wonky. Next project, building another vice. Building another vice is actually on the list of projects. However, it's probably not going to be one of the next few projects. Our next project, the one that I wanted to start today, is a burger brand. So we want to brand a hamburger bun with a 4th of July message. So it's going to be a circle with the year or the numbers 250, because this 4th of July is the 250th birthday of the United States. And we'll probably also put USA at the top, but it's going to be like round, and I'm also going to put a couple of stars on it, I think, maybe. But I mean, today is mostly, when we get to that project, it's mostly going to be processing steel today. Oh yes, I remember. How did I forget that? It's easy, you know. You get excited about different ideas of projects that you want to do, and sometimes they take priority over other things because you're excited about them. But unfortunately, but I really want to get this burger brand done before the 4th of July. So I have a little less than 2 weeks to do that. So I really need to get this started really quickly. So we're going to do a lot of stock processing today. And then we're going to start working on bending everything into shape and making all of the components on Friday. From there, we're probably going to continue making our components for the rest of that week or of next week, and we'll probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, by a week from Friday, we'll be able to weld it all together. So I'm actually pretty excited about this project. I think it's going to be really cool. All right. Like I said, one more heat on this, moving and bending these tong jaws into place, and then we're going to kind of shape them so that they play nice with our steel that we want to use. All right, that should be good. We should be able to move onto the face of the anvil. If you take a look at these guys, here's my other set of tongs. We can kind of close them up, and they're a little bit closer together. So what we're going to do is when we go to the face of the anvil, after heating these up again, we are going to take a piece of steel and stick it in the jaws of the tongs and kind of close them around the piece of steel. So that's our next thing that we need to do. De-wankification in progress. Yes, definitely. They were a little bit awkwardly shaped. Awkwardly shaped. But now they're much less awkwardly shaped. And we should be good to go. I think we're gonna start by allowing them to close around a section of 1/4-inch thick stock. Kind of try and get them nice and together so that they'll grab a hold of this guy. I got a really long piece because we're going to be working with this quite a bit. We're going to be trying to grab a hold of it perpendicularly as well as parallel to the jaws of the tongs. That's why we have 3 different V-shaped grooves in the jaws of these tongs so that we have multiple ways to hang on to things in them. It's gonna be good. Oh, and somehow I ended up hitting the wrong button this whole time. I apologize. You guys are probably all like, oh, I feel seasick because you were like changing the and it was still on the, I'm sorry guys. Goodness gracious. I figured it out. All right. This time I want to be on the Zoom camera. Apologies. So we're on the Zoom cam deliberately this time. Okay. I think we're going to start by hammering them a little bit more closed. Need them a little tighter, but not too tight. Okay, we're getting close. Closer and closer every time. Every heat. We got to get them tight enough that we can stick this piece of steel inside of there and close them in on it, right? So we're going to heat that up again. I pressed it this time. I pressed it. Whew. You can see the little teeth. They line up. They look like little jaws, like little, yeah, I'm super excited about that. I've never been able to make them line up like that. These are actually pretty impressive for me because I'm really bad at doing this. This, what do I want? Probably actually want, what do I want? I don't know. I don't know what I want. I do know what I want, but I'm okay. I'm gonna use these. Because they're still a little bit, it's still a little bit like this, the jaws. So we're gonna straighten them out and we're gonna put the piece of steel in there to try and kind of make sure that they'll close. All right, so that's our next heat. Let's try this. Is it gonna work the way I think it is? I don't know. That did not work the way I needed it to. Open up, open up. All right, so the reins are a little bit too screwy. They're not working out quite right. So I need to straighten those out. That's going to be our next heat, is we need to straighten these out and kind of give ourselves a little bit of a stop so that they don't cross over each other. Like I said, this is a little bit. Cool off the reins in water. I wish I could. I wish I could. So I built these guys out of spring steel, right? Spring steel is an oil quenching steel. It needs a little bit of extra time to cool down. So if I were to quench it in water, unfortunately, it would start cracking because the reins would start cooling down really, really fast, and the steel just, it will end up shattering. So I have to be a little bit careful in this case. Still don't understand the point of using of spring steel tongs. So the reason I did spring steel tongs for this is because I was able to get much thinner reins than I would normally get when I use mild steel, because they're going to have a little bit of extra spring in them. That way I can put my steel in there and use a rein clamp to lock the steel into the reins. Because of course. Ugh. Alright. We're getting there. Little bit. Spring steel tongs are also a little bit on the stronger side than your mild steel. It's a lot harder to modify them if you need to modify them later, because they are slightly harder and they'll retain their shape a lot easier. But that's also a plus. So it's kind of different things for different jobs, or different tools for different jobs. All right, I think we're actually over to the vise again. And I'm struggling a little bit, I'm sorry. It's not acting quite as well as I wanted it to, and it's because I left them a little bit too wide open, I think. When I opened up the jaws. Okay. Seems like a very modern thing. I mean, perhaps. Perhaps. But I'm rather modern in my way of doing things. I don't do a lot of this way. All right, that's a lot better. It's a lot closer to what I wanted them to do. All right. So now they're in there, and the jaws are about where I want them to be. I keep forgetting that, you know, I do have a vice for a reason, you know? I have a vice for a reason. All right, we're going to put those in there one more time, and we're going to clamp it this direction so that they're nice and they're a little bit, they're not quite straight, and I want to make them as straight as I possibly can. So we will put them in there one more time. We should be good though. So yeah, after this heat, we are going to start working on processing this steel. This steel right here, we're probably just going to use our regular tongs. We don't really need to use the new tongs just yet. Definitely, you know, need to cool those down. But yeah, they're working pretty darn well. I'm pretty happy with them. And I might play with them a little bit more this weekend. We'll see. All right. Okay. So, like I said, we are going to start processing this piece of steel. So I'm going to flip the forges again, because we don't need the giant forge for this guy. We just need the little forge. We're going to get a lot of heat. We're going to process the steel a lot faster with the little forge. I know I'm like moving forges and it's, you know, but different tools for different jobs. All right. They're almost the way I want them to be, but I want to make sure that they're straight and they've got a lot of good heat on them. So that way, when I clamp them in there, they're going to be able to work correctly. I'm going to grab this. That's the wrong one. This one. And we'll probably use this guy as well as a pot holder so that I can grab a hold of these guys, the reins, and move them around a little bit. Let's move the camera. We're almost at an ad time, but I think we can manage this before that ad starts. That's not working the way I wanted to. I'm just burning my gloves up. Ah! Grab them like so. Open them, and then we're going to put them. Hot. Even in the tongs, even in those jaws. I'm good though. I'm good, I promise. Goodness gracious. That's what I want. I want this right here. Yeah, I am. All right. I think they're all right for the moment. I'll mess with them a little bit more after they're a little bit more cool, but I think I'm all right for the now. Keep going. It'll snooze at the end of the ad if it gets close. I figure. Uh-oh. I guess I'll need a new right glove, but that's all right. Okay, so these are done for now, and I will allow them to cool, and then I will put that last bit on the end. But overall, I'm pretty happy with them. They open and close pretty easily, and they're nice and close. I'll be able to get some good grabby out of them. Okay. So, I am going to flip the anvil, or not the anvil, I'm going to flip the forges, and then we're going to start working on our next project after the ad is finished. We will probably actually take a look at the tongs at the end of the stream again, just so that I can kind of figure out a little bit. See if I can't finish them. The littler forge is going to make it a lot more precise of a heat. But yeah. Have we snoozed the ad or are we done with the ad? It looks like we're done with the ad. I'm going to act as though it is over. Because I don't know if it is or not. Okay. Ad complete. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Where is that piece of stock? It's right there. Okay. So, I want to thin out this stock. I want to double it in length. I want the same width, but I want it to be, the depth to be half. So we're going to double the length while keeping the width. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. You just finished me struggling, or you just missed me struggling with my Wolfjaw tongs, like my finished ones. I think they look pretty nice. I think they're gonna work pretty nice. But the jaws are not quite lined up, so we're gonna have to work on them a little bit more after they cool down a little bit. So yeah, I think they look nice. I think they'll work nice. Okay. It looks like it is Gatorade o'clock because I'm done here. I will be right back while we're waiting for that to heat up. And this should be a pretty easy rest of the stream. So, my next project is a burger brand or a hamburger. So it is a brand like you would brand a cow with, but instead of branding a live cow, we're going to be branding our hamburgers. So I want it to be handheld. So we'll probably use our wooden dowel for the handle. We'll kind of probably make this a little bit shorter so we can grab it, and then I want it to be like around like this, and then you can just shove it on the burger like an iron almost. What design will you make the brand? So I made about 5 or 6 different designs, and I wasn't happy with any of them. I want it to be about yay big around. So I think we're going to make it a component at a time and kind of arrange it as we go. Right now, I want a circle, and I want USA and 250, and then I want a couple of stars on the sides. So we'll probably see about arranging it. It's probably just going to be USA 250 with like a couple stars on either side, connecting them in that circle pattern. But I don't know, it could be something different. Like I said, I did actually create a couple different designs. You can't really see them because they are in pen, but yeah. But I don't have any good stock that is rectangular. I only have square stock right now, so we're going to have to do a little bit of processing. That will make a good smash burger. That's the goal. The goal is to make a good smash burger with it, you know, like Steak and Shake, or I believe the Freddy's. I think those might be local chains. I think Steak and Shake is all across the country though. But yes, smash burger. It's where you take a flat iron and you smash onto your burger patty to kind of smush it out. It usually has ruffled edges, so like crispy ruffled edges, and the patty is super thin. So you stack up a lot of patties. So this guy will be a little bit smash burger, a little bit let's burn a design on the top of our bun. So yeah, that's the goal. Okay, so we've got a little bit of heat, so let's start this. What I'm trying to do is thin out this side and keep this side the same diameter as the cold steel, right? So we are going to be doing a lot of back and forth, and that's also going to lengthen this whole thing up. We're not doing a full taper, but we're kind of doing a half taper. So once this steel is processed, we are going to make each of the letters end on end, right? So I want the thin side to be what brands the actual, or what creates the actual design on this brand. So I want it to be thin enough that it's legible, or thin enough that I can bend it, but thick enough that it's legible. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's kind of a line that we're going to have to walk as we go. So like I said, today is mostly going to be steel processing. Hopefully we don't have too much more steel processing on Friday, but we might end up spending most of Friday steel processing as well. Hopefully we will get to the point where we are actually able to create some of the letters on Friday. We are going to be doing a little bit of welding to put all of these pieces together and make sure that it all looks nice and it fits it together really nice. But yeah, we're going to be forging out each of the components that are welded together. So it's forging and fabrication. I think I want that button instead. Okay. It helps when you can grab your steel. So I think I'm actually gonna need more length of steel. But that's all right, because I have more steel in my scrap pile. So once we get this, like a little section here, the correct size, it's going to make the rest of the piece a lot easier to judge. So when we look at it, we eyeball it, and we know exactly, where we want it to be. We can compare the two. Right now, I'm kind of feeling it out a little bit. It should take a lot less time after I'm happy with the initial end. But yeah, we're just going to be doing a lot of really simple taper forging steel processing today. So if there's anything that you guys would like to know, any questions you have about blacksmithing, about the stream, about forging, please do let me know. I love answering questions. Like I said, this is going to be a really simple rest of the stream. So it's going to be great to, listen to and, get some ASMR and some questions in. I'm gonna change our angle a few times though, so that we can get some good variety to our shots. Clanging, yes. We are gonna be clanging. I think we're getting there. It's a little bit wide still. But I'm getting pretty happy with this side. I think we're gonna squish it out a little bit further, and then we'll move on. Thank you so much for that follow, Malicious. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. I'm glad you're here. It is definitely fire and hammers and anvils today. The tongs are still warm, but I can touch them without burning myself. So I'm gonna leave them there for just a hair longer, and we'll kind of take a look at them, see what we can do to kind of see how they function. Look at them, play with them a little bit. We are eventually going to have to do some hardening and tempering on these guys. That's the whole point. We made them out of spring steel so we could harden and temper them and use the springiness to our advantage with those guys. I will probably actually do that on the weekend because I gotta get a big old piece of or something to hold enough oil, and I need to make it safe, so I need the butler's help, I think. All right, that's what I want to see. That's definitely what I want to see as far as width. So we've gotten a little bit of that width back by squishing the sides a little bit further. We're going to continue working that. It's going to be a back and forth. Back and forth. Very soothing. Very soothing. I have a whole thing of canola oil that we're going to use to harden and temper our tongs, and or at least the reins of the tongs, probably the jaws too. And we'll probably do the whole thing just to make it a lot easier. But it's really difficult to find a piece or something that I can harden them in. So I either have to do like a long skinny tin, or like, you know, a tall skinny tin. We'll see. Got to be careful though, because the oil heats up quite a bit, and so you can't just use like plastic, because the oil is going to start melting and making it all soft and icky. So I got to be a little careful. I think I got a couple things that I can use. I'm hoping that it ends up working out for us. Some tins. Got a post driver. I don't. Wait, maybe I do. I might have one out in the garage. Those work beautifully because they're nice, thick steel. You know, because they're designed to drive those stakes in, and they can't break. All right, let's do another heat. There are certain processes that I prefer not to do alone, too. Like, I've got you guys, but I haven't given you guys my address, you know? Plus, I don't really want you guys to have to call 911 for me if something goes screwy. So sometimes it's just better to wait until the butler's around to help. Hey, ready. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Jack, what's up? We've got our nice tongs ready. I think I need to like widen out the reins. They're a little bit, the gap is too far and the reins are too close. So I think I need to open them up a little bit further. Open up them reins. But yeah, squeezy grabbers. Can I grab this with them? We did not make them for 5/8. We made them for about 1/2 inch, but this is, you know, we're still grabbing it pretty darn good. How does it go for this style? It's not too bad. Like I said, we do have a little bit of a twist on the top guy, so I am getting a little bit of wiggly wiggle. But overall, I think we're doing all right. I mean, and they're nice and squeezy, so I can like lock them. I think these are gonna be a good addition to our shop. So, you know, you use the big, like the outside ones for big pieces of stock like this. We use the little ones back here for smaller pieces of stock. But yeah, we got a nice set of squeezy grabbers. Got to harden and temper them because they're spring steel. Well done. I'm pretty happy with them. They're probably some of the best tongs I've ever made. Some of them. Maybe not the best. I don't know yet. They're not the best I will make, though. They're definitely not the best I ever will make. I'm actually pretty happy with what we've got going on there. I want to do another heat to kind of clean that up, and then we're going to continue working down the line. I want to make the whole thing that same width and height. The guy you rated off to the other day was talking about about some sort of Twitch emergency option where someone's watching could get first responders alerted if something happened on stream. I think I heard the tail end of that. Is there actually anything like that? Do any of you guys know? Because I have heard of people doing that, but most of the time the people that actively call emergency services already know like more personal information. They're like mods and stuff. So like I don't know if there would be any way to like for you guys to do that. So I try very hard to be super safe here in the shop so you guys never have to do that. That's not something I ever want you guys to have to do, you know? And I also don't want you guys to be helpless, not able to do anything either. So that's why I do like, you know, the 3 strikes and you're out rule, you know? 3 minor actions or minor mistakes, and we put everything away for the day. I've done 1 today. I don't normally have any strikes, but I've got 1 strike today. And I kind of showed you, or I kind of made a little bit of a deal about it, but when I tried to use the welding gloves as a pot holder, it was too hot to do that. So I shrunk out my right-handed welding glove. And then when I put that away, you know, I kind of burned myself a little there. You said helpless, and now that Neil Young song is stuck in my skull. I haven't heard of it, but I would be concerned giving Twitch chat the ability to send people to my house. Yeah, because it's like you don't want people to be able to SWAT. That's what it's called. SWAT, where, you know, they send the SWAT team to you. But yeah, I don't think that there is a way to do that. But I did give some of my mods my wife's number once upon a time. I mean, it would be smart to do, possibly. There are a couple of people that watch the stream that do know me in real life. So they would be able, or, you know, to I would trust them with my information. But, you know, it's one of those things. All right, we got an ad coming up in about 3 minutes. That'll probably be the last ad for the stream. Yeah, because we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to do one more heat before that ad starts. And then when the ad is going on, I'm going to move the camera. It could get extra weird reposting on YouTube, right? I feel like if something happened to me and you guys had to, like, you know, I think I would either cut that out or not post that stream, you know? So I'm trying to clean this guy up, make nice parallel sides, flat on all directions. So this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna make our letters. We're thin enough that we're gonna be able to get some really nice tight curves out of that, but we're thick enough that it's gonna last a good long time. So this is the direction that the letters are going to be, and this is gonna be the backing. We're gonna weld on the circle. So we're gonna put it a little bit deeper into the forge so that we can heat up this section. And keep on keeping on. Some people just don't understand live stream versus video, right? But like I said, that's not, or like, this is live, right? But I prefer, and I do repost my VODs on YouTube, but I actually, when I started doing that, that was for my own, like, archival purposes, so I could remember what I did after the VODs disappeared from Twitch, right? I never really expected people to watch back my VODs because I'm talking to you guys. I'm answering your questions and stuff like that, and I just, you know, I don't have that once it goes onto YouTube. And I'm starting to understand why people might want to watch the VODs, but at first it was a little bit mind bendy for me. And I do greatly appreciate all of you guys watching my VODs, especially those of you who watch the whole VODs. You are the backbone of the channel right now, and the fact, or the reason that I'm even as close to monetizing my YouTube as I am. So thank you all. I know someone who thought people using Google Maps Street View could always see when then are sitting in front of their house. Not always. But I mean, occasionally, if the Google car, you know, I've seen the Google car sometimes. Man, one day I was following the Google car when it was like taking its little pictures. And you know that if you go to Google Street View and you look in front and in back of the Google car, you can see what car is following and stuff. Afternoon sandwich, good evening to you. Welcome, welcome. How we doing on this? Are we getting any heat? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm super excited about these guys. But like I said, I think I need to move, or like to bend out the reins on these so that I can close them a little bit better. they get really, really close, but they're not touching at the jaws. For some people, it's difficult to understand what's real time and what isn't. That's also true. But I think they're actually pretty. You know, they like little wolf jaws. Yarg. I need little ears for them, right? And put little weld beads and create little ears for them. Yarg. Yum, yum. Okay, let's do another eat. I've never seen the Google car. If I did, I would make some kind of gesture. Yeah, occasionally I'll see it drive down my street, but that's because I live on a main drag in my town. So like I said, I live on a main drag, so I kind of feel like the Google car drives down my street a lot more frequently than it would drive down if I lived on a side street, right? Because we've got there's a fire department on that end of the street and a fire department on that end of the street. We got City Hall, the library, and then, like I said a long time ago, there is also the fitness center, like the community fitness center that's right next door to us. So I live on a big main drag. It's a really busy road. I do have a house that sits back enough that when I go to sleep at night, I can't really hear the cars driving by. So, and I mean, I didn't expect that. I thought that it would be loud and I would just have to get used to the cars driving past every night. But it's been relatively good. I got a brick house, so it kind of insulates that street noise. All right, let's do another heat. Like I said, we're just processing some steel, changing its shape so that we can change its shape some more later. Getting a lot longer than when we started. We started around this length, I believe. So we've actually gotten quite a bit of length out of this. We're kind of doing a half taper. Good work. Good hard work. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm really glad that we were able to get started working on this next project. I was having a little bit of trouble working with the jaws of the wolf jaws. So I just feel like It felt like I was dragging my feet, but I wasn't. I was trying. I think it just needed a little bit of finesse here, a little bit of finesse there, and I think I still need just a hair bit more. But we're doing all right, and I think that they're turning out pretty well. All right. Let's do another heat, another heat. Kind of curious how much of our piece we're going to be able to make out of this piece of steel. We're almost there. Almost. We got a little bit of thickness left to get to. Then we got that last bit of tail. Gonna have to flip it over. So I'm hoping that we can get at least the 250 out of this piece. And but I think what we're gonna do is I'm probably going to print out like the size of font that I want for Friday's stream. And then that way I will be able to kind of measure how much of the steel I need and make sure that we have enough to get all of our letters that we want to add to our burger brand. So, and it's also going to give us our font so that we're going to be able to kind of compare the font to the shapes that we are creating in the forge. Yep, cardboard engineered. Exactly. Dropping things, dropping things. All right, I think we're doing pretty good there. All right, so I think we're gonna flip it around and drop it again. Flip it around and stick it in the forge this direction. For our next couple heats. Comic Sans, just kidding. I don't know that I'm going to do Comic Sans. I think the butler would be very cross with me if I used Comic Sans. The butler was very into topography. Well, not very into topography, but is in a field that they studied topography. And so there's large debates on what is the best topographical font. So I don't know. We'll see. It's probably not going to be Times New Roman either. Are McDonald's or Burger King burger brands? A different kind of brand. Well, actually, not really a different kind of brand, but like, okay. So, basically, what we are going to be making is a steel, like a brand mark, a brand for making a burn mark. So, cattle rustler, or like cattle in the United States, people used to take steel and create little logos that they would then heat up the steel and tag their cows, because cattle rustlers, if they didn't, or they would go and steal the cows out of the field. And so, in order to make sure that the cows belonged to the different farmers, or if the cow got out or whatever, and you could return the cow to its proper owner, they would have brands on the, on the cow. And that's kind of what the etymology of the word brand for, like, like Nike and McDonald's and all of the store brands at the same, or would, it's kind of the etymology for that word too. But yes, McDonald's and Burger King are brands, but not in the same, or not quite in the same way. I know so many people triggered by Comic Sans. I know, right? But yes, it is a steel logo that is heated up and applied onto an object, and that is a brand. In this case, we are going to use it to brand buns for hamburgers. Because one of the things that's very, synonymous almost with the 4th of July here in the United States is barbecue grilling out burgers, hamburgers. So steaks, hot dogs, hamburgers, ballpark food almost. So I want to be able to celebrate the 4th of July by labeling my burgers with a 4th of July message. All right, let's do another heat. So yeah, steel processing. I would like to finish processing this piece of steel. It's probably going to end up being about yay long, somewhere in there. So once I finish processing this piece of steel, we'll probably raid off for the rest of, or for today. And I will, like I said, I really want to print off the fonts that I'm looking to use for this piece. And so I will be able to measure how long of steel that I need for this. And so we might end up doing a little bit more steel processing in the beginning of Friday's stream. I need to make sure I have enough to finish our piece. I've got a half stick of this size stock. sitting over in the steel pile. And this piece, it started as a quarter square. So we are making it a 1/4 inch in diameter with probably about 1/8 of an inch of height. And then the length is whatever it ends up being. I'm going to do the last couple heats from a different angle, I think. I need to open this and not close it. It would be very, very nice to keep the cool air moving through the doorway and not cut it off. Speaking of brands, do you want to light your sign again? I think the cable was ripped. That's very true. And you know what? I actually have another box of the LEDs that I bought like forever ago, and I keep forgetting to do it. So I will eventually have it relit. I just don't know when. It takes like no time at all to do it. I just need to sit down and just do it. So let's see. Well, now I gotta figure out what I did with it. It was sitting over here, but maybe it got moved. I don't know. It could also be in the other room. But yeah, I have another box of LEDs that all I gotta do is like glue them in there. But I just haven't done it yet. Maybe what I need to do is just stick the LED or find the LEDs and then just stick them in front of my computer. That way I will remember that I need to do it. Because I always remember when I get in here to set the stream up, because you know I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's not lit up. It's one of those things, you don't think about it until you're thinking about it. And it's my own fault. The whole thing is my own fault. I'm the one that ripped the LED or the cord out of the LEDs, and I'm the one that hasn't fixed it yet. Maybe it'll be a nice surprise for you guys when I actually get a chance to do it, or when I actually force myself to do it. Woohoo! I'm getting hot. All right. What else? Oh, today's Wednesday, isn't it? I forgot to tell you guys that my latest video is up on YouTube today. It is on the location for the AACB conference. It was at a historic village called Cannonsboro Village in Cannonsboro Village. Yeah, it was Cannonsboro Village. And so I did a video on it because I thought it was really interesting because they had all kinds of historic buildings that they tore down, and instead of getting rid of them and tossing them, what they did was they rebuilt them in a new location, this location. And it was really neat to see all of the historical artifacts within them. And so I decided to make a whole video on it. And this weekend, on Friday, they are going to have their 50th anniversary celebration. And it's super neat. So if you are in the Murfreesboro, Tennessee area, check it out. Murfreesboro. Yeah, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. All right, let's do it in the heat. All right, so we're almost there. We do have a little bit of a bulge right here, so we're going to take care of that real fast, and then we're probably pretty well done with this guy. We've pretty much doubled it in length, which is really exciting. That's exactly what I wanted to see. We'll have to check that out. Always wanted to go to Tennessee. I think that's where Murphy's Law came from. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think Murfreesboro or Murphy's Law is probably a little bit different than Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But yeah, Cannonsburg or Cannonsboro. It's Murfreesboro and Cannonsboro, and I keep getting them mixed up. Anyway, it was super neat to see, and I was like, I need to make a video out of this. So today is the day. It's up on my YouTube. I'd appreciate it if you checked it out. All right, I think this is probably going to be our last here. Yes, Murfreesboro. Is that it? That's the place. Because I remember typing that. That's the place, Corwin. You're right. It's Murfreesboro. Maybe I was getting it mixed up. But yes, that is it. It's Murfreesboro, Tennessee, spelled Murfreesboro in Tennessee. It's just outside of Nashville. Not that far out. So you can check out Nashville too. Alrighty. I think that's all she wrote for the day. We got a nice big old chunk of really thin steel that we're going to be able to turn into some letters for our brand. And I'm super excited about that. We are going to make them like this so that you see one of the skinny sides, and then this is going to provide the support for that skinny side. Alrighty. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have had a blast. I hope you guys have as well. I'm super excited that we were able to finish off our wolf jaw tongs. Or I guess mostly finish them. We got a couple bit of tweaks here and there on them, but overall they're very finished. So it is time to rate off for the day. So who do we got? Thank you. Have a nice day. Yeah. Thank you guys. You as well, Corwin. You as well. I definitely will have a great evening. Thanks, Ray. Nice job on the tongs. Thank you, Mahalo. Who do we got? I think we're gonna go with Miramac again. See ya, Jack. It helps when you actually put your cursor in the correct, box. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on Friday. Bye.